All right, you filthy cowpokes. It's time! We are here to discuss Ghost of the Badlands, the book written by RazörFist and art done by George Alexopoulos. And today, I am joined by Joe, Justin, and Andy. How you guys doing?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Now, to be clear, we've been wanting to do this for a quick minute. Scheduling's hard, man. We're all working like full-time gigs most of the time anyway. Well, I am, but no, I'm just throwing shade, man. But yeah, no, I've been really excited to talk about this book. Obviously, it's been anticipated by many for a long time because it was announced like well over a year before it actually got released, as is the case with a lot of indie and Iron Age comics. But my God, it is here, and it is beautiful. Check that out.
I don't know how Razor wears his glasses an entire stream, by the way. I can't
see. I've done it on accident, man. It's not that hard once you just damage your eyes. Did you get... Oh, you got the floppy version. Look at his floppy little knuckles.
Oh, it's adorable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, can't see because of the green screen. He's like this. I was like, what is he doing there?
Pay no mind to what I do.
But yeah, just what? How did you guys hear about this book? We'll go one at a time. What do you think, Joe? How did you hear about this book?
We're in the indie sphere, and this is a big indie book. And not only that, I follow the F&T Air July guys, so it's like, yeah, this book was being promoted by them.
Yeah, that's where I heard it.
It's been promoted for the
yes, you can, Justin.
The other people, the people who use the Iron Age hashtag, obviously, it's like this is, RazörFist started the Iron Age.
Yeah, that's true.
Thing. So,
he's the first one I heard that term from, and they say someone else had used it, but obviously it didn't really go anywhere. I've always thought of RazörFist as kind of the herald of the Iron Age.
Yeah, he put a name on it.
Yeah,
and
if I had to put a title on it, if I had to assign a role to somebody,
it's not a group, guys. It's not a group.
He's the Cicero of the Iron Age. We'll say that. I think that's fair.
I was going to say, I mean, I found out about the book just because I follow his content because it's hilarious and awesome, and the metal mythos are great. And then, of course, he did a couple books that I enjoyed because it's the kind of thing. It's one thing to like a channel and then you get their book, and if it's not good, then it's like, ooh, not doing that again. But I really
we've all been burned by a YouTuber who decides to write a book at some point.
And then obviously the art of George Alexopoulos, it's all over everywhere, and his style is so cool. It's so unique.
People steal his comics all the time without even mentioning his name, and the guy's a legend.
So he does really good know it now.
Yeah, about the team up, whether it was through FNT or on one of their channels or on Twitter, I was like, awesome. I need this thing. And fortunately, not to jump ahead, but it delivers.
Oh yeah, AC. Your mouth is full. But how did you hear about Ghost of the Badlands?
Friday Night Tights.
Yep. Nice.
I
feel like I'm kind of with Justin. I've stopped following Friday Night Tights like consistently a while ago, but I've been a fan of RazörFist since like 2016 or something somewhere right in there.
Yes, I still hop on their shows every now and again. But
I used to watch them like every single week, the whole show, top to bottom, and I still.
Those shows are long too, aren't they? They're like an hour to 3 hours at minimum.
But it's like busy. I knew of RazörFist, but I never really watched his content. I watch F&T's content, and it was from them saying "Hail the Iron Age," and I was just like, "What the fuck? What does he keep saying? Sounds cool. All right, cool." And then eventually, other channels started to pop up on my feed, and I'm like, "Oh, this is what's going on." Okay,
Justin, I'm so jealous of your hat. I love this hat, but this thing has kind of been through it, man.
What's even better is that the brand of the hat is my name. It's Justin Brand, so it's got my name on like the side and stuff, like the little
that's
logo.
Sick, dude. Yeah. Plus, you got the star. He's the sheriff of this show. What are we even doing?
Where's that? I got it.
Let's get into let's start getting into the actual book.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think we should start with is probably the covers. Right. I saw you guys had a different cover.
I got the whole package when it was available for like early, like pre-buy kind of thing. We have the black and white version, which has a nice kind of colored, like moonlit situation, and then for the colored version, actually, it looks like this. It looks more like a sunrise or a sunset. And
I think the one with the moon is better.
I think it is, but the
Yeah.
colors are so pretty too. And
Very vibrant and more attractive to the eyes, but I think I prefer the other one. But this one, I really like this one.
that one is
They're all good
it is cool, but again,
Not as attractive to the eyes, you know, it doesn't draw your eyes. But I mean, dude, it's so dope. Like
It's-
it's
it's
faded
still
in the
cool.
background.
Also,
Yeah.
I'll say this: I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were like, if you got the whole package, you were able to pick which one was the hardcover and which one was the soft cover. So I chose to go with the black and white and the floppy because I figured I'd be reading that one more. But
Oh, so you got a little floppy too, huh?
I got a big old flop. Anyway, moving on. My family watches this show. Anyway,
Why?
here we. That's a great question. Actually, no, that's the funny thing. My family doesn't always love my content, but all of my parents' friends love my videos. They think I'm hilarious. My mom and dad are just like, "What's wrong with you? He's not funny."
Some of them are like, "What's this
Man.
homophobic retard that's on the channel with them?"
Why is he streaming with a little boy? It's right out there, man. Anyway, so overall impressions of the book? Did it meet your expectations?
Should we wait that to the end?
Well, yeah, we can. We
Yeah,
can.
I feel like that'd be
One
better.
thing that was a surprise, I heard about it beforehand, but it was still a surprise when I heard it, was that the perspective was not going to be from the ghost. It was going to be from another character.
Yeah.
And I like RazorFist even explained it in videos and in interviews. I think it makes a lot of sense. It keeps the ghost mysterious and makes him more of a, like, he's more of a symbol than a man, at least in this sense.
Yeah,
I was
it
getting
was a
some
lot
major
less
V from Vendetta vibes from the ghost. What about you guys?
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. Vendetta.
I don't remember that movie. I saw it. I don't remember liking it.
Oh, it'll be on the Iron Season.
That movie's one of the best movies ever made.
Everyone
Justin.
tells
I
me
think
that.
that-
I don't remember it.
I think I've heard a few people being like, "When are you guys going to do that movie?" Which
I
is
thought
like
it would've
it's
been
always on the polls. It's not
Give
like
me
we
the
choose the
contrarian
movie.
on panel
So-
again. You guys. Can
I
yell
thought
at
it
me.
would have been up for Conspiracy Week for sure, but I digress.
Oh, that
Well,
would have been a good one.
AC, it's not a conspiracy because almost everything that they theorize about the future in that movie has kind of happened a little bit.
True,
in
yeah.
some small
We
way.
either way, we had to do that one in November. But let's not get off topic too much.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're right.
I went into this very blind. I didn't like look at any details or anything like that. Really, just the cover. It's mentioned it's a Western. That's pretty much all I knew from this. It's just its latest fail. Absolutely.
We all just agreed the show would be very boring. I bring that angle. You know.
Yeah, you bring that angle. Wait. Oh, that's great, man. But yeah, no, that's bring up some of the art, like maybe just some of the stuff from the beginning, because, like, again, we're not going to show off the entire book, but it's a short enough book. I feel comfortable kind of talking about the whole thing, and if there's any major spoilers, we'll toss out a warning out there. But yeah, no, this book was really fantastic. I love that. Like, some people would say it's lazy, but it's not. I like that there's minimal dialogue for a big portion of the book.
Yes. Let the art.
It really
speak.
allows the visual storytelling, which is in a visual medium, is a strong element to do its job.
Yeah, and I
again,
think
Trying
that's
to
where,
figure out a
like,
way to do
most
this without
Westerns-
showing our anti-Ripper group.
You go onto the image, you click it, and you open the image in browser. You click on it and say open in browser, and it shouldn't show our group.
With most Westerns, I think if they get dialogue heavy, you get bogged down. I think you have to let the setting speak for itself, the characters, their body language, the lack of words. You know, it's almost like a song where the silence often has
Speaks
more
louder.
weight than if it's just nonstop explanation. And it makes it more interesting and exciting too. I love the fact that it's not told from the perspective of the ghost. I think the story would have been less enjoyable had it been. I think it's really cool, like how and when he shows up throughout the story. It keeps you interested and kind of on your toes, because it's not like Batman where if there's a crime during the day, he's just like, well, we'll figure it out later tonight, I guess. Wait for the signal.
I like that he's kind of a trickster. I like that he's not just a Batman. He's more like the Shadow almost. Again, an inspiration for Razor, but he pretends to be just a coach driver at one point. Small spoiler, and it's just him. Like, finally he lifts his head, you see under the hat, you're like, oh my F, that is the man. Oh yeah, these guys are dead. There's no way.
Yeah,
So,
it's like it.
you go. Sorry.
Oh, I lost my train of thought. You go ahead.
Fucking Christ. Well, I was gonna say. So I mentioned that I went
Flowing
into
it
this.
today, boys. The flow is just it's
We're,
more
we're
beautiful.
here's the flow, and
I
here's us.
remember.
We're way over here.
This is what happens whenever we do a stream and it's not at 10 o'clock at
Mhm.
night or something.
My circadian rhythm.
What do
So
you got, AC?
I can tell. So I've been following George for a while, and shout
Mm-hmm.
out to George. I try to smuggle his comics onto Facebook because Facebook is really like it's dystopian these days.
Are they
What?
censorious in direction of his work?
What?
Yeah, I smuggle him on there. I make sure his name's still at the bottom there. So keep doing that. Your authentication thing. But anyway, I know he did a lot of research. Like he went and physically held the guns and went to the physical locations and stuff. And it comes out in the comic. You can see it, like the landscape shots. It's almost like, that's just a landscape thing he did at the location. You know what I mean? Some of them you can tell, and that's good. That's a good thing. Like because it looks far more real than just kind of coming up with something, right?
And also, I will bring this up art style wise for those who have are connoisseurs of different art styles and comics around the world. This is very much like German and French style comics, like bande dessinée. And I love the realistic art style, the scratchiness of it.
This is where I get like, it's kind of criticism, but it's kind of not. It's just George has a very specific style, and that's a really good thing. You could immediately tell anytime there's a meme, it's like, oh, this is George's, which is awesome. 100%. But I also I can't help but think about his memes when I'm looking at this art style, like some of the faces and stuff.
Oh,
so
the
it is a
memes
little
are
bit
strong with this one.
It's a little bit distracting. Like this, I'm like this looks like a typical like George meme.
That looks like a George face for sure.
Yeah. So it does distract a little bit.
But out of context, look at that face. Damn.
Absolutely, yeah.
Out of context, look at that gun. That beautiful rendition of that style of revolver.
Yes, sir.
I'm the opposite. I love the way it's very him. I don't find it distracting. The fact that the faces, and there's several snap or screenshots of faces in here, I love it. It pulls me in more because they're so expressive. Like
again, it's like it's a
bulging out of the head. And
well,
things
that's
like
why.
Yeah,
that's why I said criticism, not criticism, because it's like
right, I know
this is it is quality, and it's really awesome that you have a style that people can pick up without like.
If you don't like his style, then
George,
you're not going to get something different here. This is definitely George's style. But again, like I've talked, like RazorFist has talked about this along with George. They work together on panel layout and a lot of like even the quiet story beats, which is that face, dude.
You know what I mean? It's like everyone. I just think of like his memes, but
I love it.
Yeah, no, it is great. It's just distracting. That's what I'll say with that.
Bring up that comment by James Hurley real quick, if you can, Bats. It's very reminiscent of Blueberry from the French Western comic. Yes, it is. It has a touch of Bouncer in there as well, which is another French Western comic about a one-armed gunslinger, which definitely inspired a story beat in this story, if you guys know what I'm saying.
And then to not get too far from the beginning, where we mentioned, going in that like you guys knew that the ghost wasn't the main character. So it was really good that like after just like a couple pages, it was like it took me like 2 seconds to like be like, oh, okay, this guy's the main character. So it's something that the story was able to tell you, like I guess through visual storytelling.
Cues.
Yeah, visual cues, and without having to just like write a blob of being like we're following this character. Like the ghost is kind of in the background. So just a great example of show don't tell.
Yeah, 100%. Are any criticisms of the beginning of the story? I think it's a very strong opener. I really like the conflict of the main character because I think that's what in some ways in stories separates genuinely good-hearted men versus men who have fully given in to their darker urges. He was placed in a position where he finally found that line he wasn't willing to cross. Because he was, in many ways, a bad man, doing bad things for selfish reasons, up until that that moment where he was asked to do something that he would never be able to undo.
I think the beginning of this was probably the strongest.
I liked the ending though too. It gave me, I
enjoyed
like the way
book.
it ends.
Yeah,
I'm there with Justin.
good.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the rest of it. I'm just saying that the beginning, in particular, with the rest was very strong. Which, hey, that's a really good thing to have a good start.
Yeah, where they say start good, end good, and then obviously, but to me, I don't know. There's things to like about the book the whole way through. The opening is good, but I don't know. I love the scene with the carriage where it's whenever Red has joined the other gang and they're like chasing down that one carriage. I like that scene a lot too. I like the memory where I can't remember the leader of the gang. What was his name?
The Indian guy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's retelling the history, and you get that fire scene, like that panel alone. That section is like that is one of the coolest. It's so
good.
I'm about to take some images
all throughout, but I have precisely two criticisms of the entire book. Never mind just the beginning, but start to finish.
Well, and let's save some of the overall stuff, or unless you guys disagree with me on that. But
I strongly disagree with you at all times. So
yeah, we're talking about things about the beginning of the story that were not totally. And it's something that starts there, and then it's not even a gripe. It's the one part is just a heads up. If you haven't really read the preview in Anvil, if you haven't seen too much of this, you're just like, oh, a cowboy story. I like John Wayne. This is not that. This is
a spirit of God and violent, and it's very much
the golden
dark.
violence is pretty detailed. It's an incredibly violent book. So that's not really a criticism. It's more of a heads up for people that, again, if you're expecting I used to watch these with my grandpa, this would be a good time. It's like, this is not that. It's way more intense. And then the second thing is that
I didn't think it was particularly violent.
It was pretty bad.
Well, it's not berserk bats, but it's not. I'm not going to give it to my 7-year-old child.
About somebody going
but it's like PG-13.
I think PG-13 is it hints at the rated R, but it doesn't ever dive into it or show it.
I'll give you that. But compared again to old westerns, where there's oftentimes not even blood, if that's what you're expecting, that's just something to take note of.
I love old westerns. There's no blood. All the Indians are white guys with a tan. It's great.
Also true.
Italians everywhere. The other thing,
Italian Indians.
This is something that I'm always torn about with stories like this. Is whenever you have that Christian religious theme that plays as it's so integral to the story and the character, and he's the one doling out vengeance. And to me, it's like, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, not vengeance is yours, dude. Go get him, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm always a little bit like, what exactly is the psychology of this guy? And it's like, you want to see the bad guys get taken out, but then whenever it's got that, I get a little bit torn about it. And it's the sort of thing, I think the best character dealing with that was the sniper in Saving Private Ryan, where he wasn't like, this is, Old Testament judgment coming down on you because you have done wrong. He's more just praying for protection and that sort of thing. And to me, that seems a little bit more, that makes more sense to me than the other aspect of it. So that's something too, if you come at it from a Christian angle, that might sit with different people differently.
It makes me ask questions about my own life, because I've been in positions with violent people where I've had to make some choices, and it always comes down to, I don't know, God says there's a time for everything, and that's kind of how I view situations like this. Maybe in this time, this is this time and this people, they need a hand of justice and possibly even damnation. But again, that's up
before we go to further into the minor details of criticism, let's somebody give a spoiler overview of the story. This shouldn't take too long.
Yeah. So, what was the name of the main character again? Do you guys know offhand? Red.
You're talking about Red?
Was that what?
That's what they call at the beginning, I believe, right? Redstone, short for Redstone. But then he reveals his name later, and that ties into some of the themes and the religious aspects of it too,
and who he is. Yeah.
Yep.
Essentially, you start off with Red, the main character of the story. He's on the ground bleeding. He's about to be shot by his previous gang, so to say. And then while he's bleeding out on the ground, he is saved by the Ghost. The Ghost comes in, he takes out the rest of the gang leaders. When Red comes to again, he has woken up. He is in a room recovering. He no longer has his arm. It's been amputated because it was useless after it was shot. And he is left a note by the Ghost, basically given a choice. You can go back to your old wicked ways, and death will find you as surely as it has the rest of your gang. Or let me offer you an alternate. Come work for me. Be one of my missionaries. Be someone who brings the justice of God and the righteous right hand of God down on sinners in this place that deserve
an agent of the Ghost.
An agent, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, he follows the instructions. You get to see some of the conflicts going on in the town. I really like that scene too, because the way that when they do, I'll get to that later actually. And basically, he's told to infiltrate another gang that is being led by a very dangerous Native American man. And yeah, he basically leads them into a trap set by the Ghost.
Yep.
After that, they get thrown in prison. A marshal does an arrest on them, brings them into town, and the man in town he uses a good argument as to why they should be let free, according to law and morality. But he is not a good man. He is using the law for a bad purpose. He purposely wants them to be set free because he's in on it as well.
Yeah,
and then
but I kind of agreed with him legally, though.
Oh, legally he's he's right. His intentions and the way he uses it is wrong. Yeah. And that's maybe the greatest moral quandary of this entire book. Actually, you guys want to let's go in on that. Actually,
it was abuse. I think there was a little bit of abusing the law.
Because it's already feeling a little bit deeper than I was expecting for an overview.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of hung up on this scene because I really liked the moral kind of quandary that it sets.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like we as the viewer know that was the sheriff
Marshal
was right. Marshall was right to bring him in, but like legally, like I don't know. You don't have anything against them. You just came up to them when they're in the campfire.
Yeah, you found them sitting around a campfire close to a crime with no witnesses, no evidence that they had even been involved.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's I guess that a little bit of criticism to that. I think that character, I think that could have probably been written a little bit better. Because
in what way?
Well, it's just the fact that like
how dare you criticize it?
He could have at least like witnessed a crime, and then as a marshal, like him being witnessing of that would be at least substantial without like a lawyer getting involved to arrest them, put them in jail. But to be like, oh no, I didn't witness them do anything. I just really know that they did it. It's like
to be fair, if you were that guy in that situation, you would believe that they were at least involved. Maybe they didn't they weren't the perpetrators of the crime, but I've known a lot of people who would just assume and would do something.
I would, yeah, but I don't know. I'm not from the Wild Wild West, but if I had like a cop do that, let's say, I would be like, you need some form of evidence, even if it's just visually seeing it, which again probably would barely hold up in modern day court, but. Yeah, I don't think you could just like arrest somebody and be like, I have strong suspicion that it's them. And it's like, okay, what's the strong suspicion? Like, well, they were near there. It's like,
keep in mind, this is back the rules were kind of looser. There was freedom, but it also meant that people had to bring their own justice in a way. And back in a time when there wasn't like forensic evidence, you didn't have the same style of investigation that we have today.
Absolutely.
You do have to sometimes make assumptions. I'm not saying he's
at
right.
a minimum, though. At a minimum.
Yeah.
I think the marshal should have witnessed it.
I think he should have, but I can easily see someone just doing this. Imagine, Joe, imagine he's someone who just does, he travels around, he's a U.S. Marshal, he travels around dispensing justice. He's probably desensitized to this kind of thing at this point. He has strong instincts for how people are and how things go down. I could easily see him foregoing having evidence for the sake of trying to do quote unquote justice.
Yeah, I'm
I
with you on
maybe
that, too.
could see it, but then I don't know. I feel like it would have been stronger if he had witnessed it, and then the whatever the mayor or whatever that guy's position was, if he's like, yeah, like you witnessing it isn't strong enough evidence. I need something more, and then releasing him. It's like I could see that maybe is a more believable, better story written there.
I think it's believable, but I understand where you're coming from. But keep in mind, like, think about, like, look at a real historical thing. Wyatt Earp and his men, they were a legalized group, and then the gang that they were opposing was also a deputized legal group. It was two deputized group of people going after one another.
Yeah.
It was a messy thing, and a lot of it came down to he said, she said, he's dead, he can't speak for himself kind of thing.
Yeah, but he said, she said, like, at least if you're saying he said this and he saw it, it's like, it's more. It's more. I'm not saying this like killed it or anything.
Frankly,
As the sheriff
he
on the
was
panel
a
here,
Native American. He
It
probably
was all
deserved
the up
no,
and up, boys. That's how we do things back in 1896.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're not a Western man there,
Evidence
Bat
later.
Sauce? Cowpoke? Not like Justin and now. We're
This fella's
real
talking like a
cowboys.
Yankee.
I don't know. I just believe that there could have been a little
I
bit
bet
more
you were a
strong
filthy
reinforcement.
Confederate.
All right, let's not hang on to the point a little bit too long. But all right.
No. He's trying to distance himself. I think you're on.
Oh, absolutely not. I don't think people are going to care about this one nitpick.
He was a slave owner. I can see it in his eyes.
He's a filthy
Yeah.
Confederate.
This isn't a deep dive, Justin.
We can do a deep dive.
All right. If you want to continue with the story from there.
Justin, I just saw your tagline. I love it. Thank you. But yeah.
So they get released from prison.
Yeah.
Yep, they get released from prison. And then they each go, like the Ghost and Red, each go their own way to dispense justice on their own. The woman is captured. And this is there's one problem I had. This is not a criticism so much as a moment of confusion. Was she violated outside, like beyond just get beat up
No.
before this in the story?
Nope.
Like, because I was a little confused. It made it sound like she was good. They were going to,
Well, they
do
were
the
threatening.
essay her, but it wasn't clear whether that had already happened or not. I don't
think so. I think they were threatening her at that point. There's no reason. I don't think there was anything in the dialogue to indicate that it happened. It just felt like threats. The whole thing felt like threats.
Bats, you continue with the recap because I'm kind of curious on this point. I want to see.
My memory's fuzzy on stuff like this. Like I just remember that point that you brought up, and that's why
Your
I want to
memory's
comment on it.
fuzzier than your face.
Guys, look, it's
that's
an
what it is.
ongoing
I mean-
theme on this show. My ability to recall sucks.
Well, okay.
thought you
So
were gonna
at that
say
point,
you're-
they both
both
go
disagree.
and they deal with the different elements that are causing problems, and then at the end they reconnect, and basically the Ghost leaves an offer for Righty to say like, hey, you want to keep this up? We should keep this up, kind of thing. And so it's left open-ended as if there's going to be, and I think it even says it towards the last pages that there's going to be more episodes, but I think it's hard to talk about the rest of the story without really going in depth, because there's characters and their actions later without addressing the details of it at the beginning. It's hard to really just like touch upon, but that's basically the overview. These two guys,
And it is insinuated.
that's it.
Yeah, we'll get more stories of Ghost, but it's probably not going to include Red.
No, I think we'll see Red again. Maybe not in the next
possibly.
one, but I think we'll see him again.
Possibly.
Also, real quick, I came to a page here that the only thing that made me think that maybe they had already, taken their some of them had already taken their pleasure, so to say. She's laying on she gets tossed into the cave, and this is what she says: "You've already taken everything, and and everyone I've ever loved. Nothing you do to this mortal shell can compound my indignity."
Yeah, that insinuates just that all of her family's dead.
Yeah, that's what I took
Okay.
it as.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I will say this: she is a badass woman, dude.
She might be trying
to like get her ass kicked by a whole like gang of dudes, get tossed into a cave, and you know what's coming next, and then she's still basically declaring that nothing they do can ever. Yeah, she will not give in to whatever they attempt on her. That's a strong individual to.
Yeah, it's a very that's a very mentally strong person.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's what I mean, obviously. Whammon. Anyway.
Roll him up.
I also like the little backstory about how the Indians like burned their enemies alive in that very cave as well. That was a very interesting bit of backstory.
Are they calling it Apache bonfire or something? Or Apache barbecue party?
Well, it was called something, but it definitely wasn't that.
Apache Fun Time Hot Cave.
Apache
so
Fun Time
I mean,
Smoky.
a big part of this is like the conspiracy not conspiracy. What's happening behind the scenes? The fat rich guy is trying to get land rights from people, stealing them essentially, so they can build the
Wild West. That surely never happened.
Yeah.
No.
So and even the place that they're fighting in, Diablo Canyon. Okay, it's like
it's Canyon Diablo. First of all,
sorry, Canyon de Diablo. How do you say it in French? No. So it's there, and you have the themes of again the biblical stuff tied in there. So Diablo, devil. You got this cave that's going on with the fires and all this sort of thing. But yeah, they talk about the railway construction companies early on in the book too, and how basically if they want land, they try to get it, and if you don't want to give it to them, maybe they rough you up a little bit. And if you still don't want to give it to them, maybe they take out some of your family members, or maybe they close off the river that gives your land water. Maybe they take away some of your land. Maybe they grab your family members and hold them hostage. There's a lot of ways that this is done.
And then so this is what I really liked about like the villain, right? The antagonist is that he was trying to do it for the better good, right?
In many ways,
basically, it would benefit a bunch of people to have a railroad through there. Like a lot of people's lives are going to benefit from it, and that's all he cares about.
And he also brings up another good point. This is kind of useless land. It's hard to grow stuff here. It's rocky, dead soil.
Exactly. So he has a very valid point. Obviously, he is.
Now,
he's very selfish. Like he's doing it for himself for the money as well. But he's doing it with a valid point. But that doesn't justify the cruel actions to do that. Like, good intent. How's the saying going?
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Exactly. So, and that's essentially what the story is kind of showing with that character.
Also, real quick, which final confrontation do you prefer? Do you prefer Red confronting his fake gang, or do you prefer the businessmen being confronted by the ghost? Like, which confrontation do you prefer?
I like Reds.
So I like Reds too, and I will say this is my problem with the ghost's part, and this is more a personal criticism than anything. This is now the third story where we've had a character that speaks in all biblical words.
I love the Bible, so I don't mind it, but
we had Record of Paladins, which one of the main characters in that was only biblical verses, which that was not like the main character, so which is good. And then what was it? What was Mage Leader's book?
And Hell Followed.
And Hell Followed with him or whatever. Now the character didn't speak in only Bible verses, but
he quotes the Bible quite
a lot. So it's just like having another character, another Record of Paladins is not Western, but just another Western. It's just all these Bible verses. It's kind of very it dragged a little bit for me.
I can see that, but I'll give this perspective as a guy with belief, as someone who's seen every investigation show in the last 15, 20 years have a point in the series where the investigators trying to take down the evil Christian cult. It is this almost feels like I don't know. It kind of feels like the answer to all of that. And if you're not a Christian, I completely understand. And even I am like, at some point, I'm like, okay, guys, I've read it too, but
I'd love it. I'm like, if every book was like this, I'd be fine with it. Just like if every book was Superman, I'd be like, yes. You can't find it in any other media. So now that there's finally an outlet where I'm getting it, I'm like, that's fine. And maybe a year from now, I'll be like, okay.
For you and I, it's refreshing.
I think where it is with me, it's like sometimes I feel like I can feel the author like struggling, looking like, control Fing through the Bible, trying to find a verse that like fits what they're trying to say. And then like sometimes it's like, yeah, it fits, but like, is that what that verse meant? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like you went in with a specific goal.
It depends on the context of the story, because sometimes it does, and other times it's different.
Yeah, I think you accomplished the goal of fitting verses of what you're trying to say, but like I felt like it's like you just made it over the acceptable line where it fits in. Some of those verses I don't think like exactly mean what he's trying to say, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like if I was a character in this, and I get it, it's fantasy, right? I feel like can you just say what you mean? What like what's that superhero movie, or it's like kind of spoof one, Mystery Men, where the Sphinx he speaks in clever, like, everything he says, and Zoolander's character's like, what like, stop doing this, what do you just say what you mean, dude?
Yeah.
or you could be like One Punch Man, like Saitama. Like Genos, his apprentice, is like, my master, his time is valuable. Give your backstory in 20 words or less.
Now, I feel like the point of it, though, is that you say, wait, what is this? And then people might go research it and look it up. And maybe while they're there, they'll stick around. Or maybe they'll keep reading or find something else. And that's kind of, if you're part of the faith, that's the whole point, is to try and get it to other people and get them engaged. That's, to me, a clever way to get people to maybe say, what is he saying? I got to go look this up. I got to read about this for a while. I got to study it. Maybe you could view it as, it would be better if they were just like, I'm here to destroy you because God doesn't like bad people, or whatever. Maybe you could write a little bit better. But to me, if it's
slightly better than that.
It's also kind of
you get my point. Like, it's kind of saying like, go look it up.
Yeah, what you got, AC?
A clever nod to Tolkien in a way, which he himself was also nodding to the Bible a little bit with like
the whole book.
Well, like, and like the confrontation between Gandalf and the Balrog. What does Gandalf do? He steps forward and he starts talking shit in terms that the Balrog will understand. He's like, "Listen, son,
yo, boy, you trying to step up to me? What's up, son?"
He turns his hat he turns his pointy hat sideways, grabs the mic. Yo.
Wizard sleeves.
I'm the servant of the secret fire, bitch. Listen.
That's why I say it's a little bit more of a personal criticism, especially since it's like from what I've been reading. But I could see it. I think you've gotten it a lot recently. Maybe if it was one book instead of 3.
Yeah. Or if it was 6 instead of 3, or 9, or 10.
Plus, it's also
or 69.
Like the biblical stuff fits the theme of Western. So I feel like it's those two things are tied in a lot together. Like, I feel like if it was like a sci-fi doing that, I feel like I wouldn't have the same like feeling, because I feel like that would be very contrasting. You know what I mean?
It fits the aesthetic of a Western, and it fits into the themes of this story strongly.
Right. Mm-hmm. I guess I think it kind of comes off a little basic.
I'll show this too, and this is maybe one of my favorite panels in the entire book, and it's when it's when Red confronts his fake gang, and they call him and the Indian guy calls him Righty. Oh, yeah. Righty, you conniving imp. And he says, "My name is Paul." And that is very fitting for anyone who's read any part of the Bible, because Paul in the Bible was originally Saul, and he was famous for killing Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And so Paul in this book, he was a man who was known for doing dark deeds and killing people and being a thief and part of a gang. And now he is a transformed person.
And whenever so at the beginning, Righty, he's part of this gang, and he refuses to kill this girl. So they shoot him all up. He's bleeding to death. His arm's all shot. That's when the ghost shows up, dispatches the bad guys, saves the little girl, and he tells Righty, continue on this path. I think that's what he tells him, Righty. Or, turn against your ways or whatever. So then Righty wakes up. He's missing his arm, and he's getting ready to take his 6-shooter and put it in his mouth. And that's when he sees the letter from the ghost. And that's where the ghost kind of gives him directions. And specifically, he says, go to Damascus. And that's the conversion of Saul to Paul, and Damascus. That also ties in. So it's like,
gives him purpose. keep going.
Yeah, and it's even like the more I think about it, it's even more because in the Bible, Paul temporarily loses his sight, and in this, Paul loses his right arm. Obviously, he doesn't get his arm back, but he gets back his purpose at least. He becomes someone with a purpose.
Also,
So I'm not Bible read, so I'm not aware of all this allegory. I do think that's not a nice touch, though. So I do like when
steps
A lot of
further than
Italian
that.
energy in here.
Symbolism.
Another thing is cool about it is that I think it's Matthew 18:8. It says, if your hand or foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It's better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. So he loses this hand. And that's
The hand that had caused so much.
All part of the change. Yeah, like it's better for you not to have that hand that was behind all that sort of stuff. So it's a physical, but I don't know if it was his intention to tie to that, but because of the themes, I'd imagine it was probably there.
It seems likely. Yeah.
There's also in that same one, he says, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it from your head and throw it out. It's better to go through life with one eye than to spend eternity in fire. And there's that guy towards the end of the book, dead on the railroad tracks. And what is he missing? An eye. So I don't know if
and one eye is symbolism of clarity, like you're seeing.
Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah.
It's a theme in a lot of old stories.
Yeah, you give up your eye and you gain wisdom. It's a very common theme in storytelling.
Yeah, that's the Odin. And you can either be even more driven when you have one eye, as in you're focused, you can see clearly, or
you should be driven. Frankly, you can't see where you're going. So,
or it can mean you're half blind, right? Like they literally don't see clearly. They're a half blind person.
Or like how many times in a story has a character lost their eyesight altogether and then gained clarity on something else on their mission or who they. That's happened quite a bit as well. So it's always it's an interesting theme. Symbolism. AC, tell us about the symbolism of the horses. Yes.
The horses. Well, hoofed animals generally go forward. Like think about, they're always walking forward.
I think they're riding horses because it's a western.
They got huge dongs. What else do you want?
All things go forward almost besides crayfish.
Carrots are orange. The color orange represents new life.
Yes, but their eyes go to the side, so they're like prey.
Yeah, you're right. They're not looking forward. Yeah,
they're not looking forward. They're blindly moving forward.
Yes, like
hooved animals, they go forward. So does every other thing on the planet besides the crayfish.
It's symbolic of a blind faith to God. All right.
There you go. Oh, now we're getting somewhere.
Also, I know it's like we didn't get him for that long, but the Indian bad guy, whatever his name was, I'm bad. I don't remember his name right now. I thought he was a compelling other half of the evil that our characters were facing, because he was a genuinely bad guy.
Yeah, he was like stone cold bad.
Like there was very little redeemable about him.
I was saying like, for the plus on that, it's like he didn't do anything that really stuck out to me of being like, whoa, like this guy's evil. Don't fuck with this guy.
No, but you could tell by the way, like every crime is treated very nonchalantly by him, which implies that he has lived seeped in his own evil doings and those of others for a very long time, to a point where it doesn't even faze him anymore.
But like I said, I prefer the fat rich guy and his motivations in the story.
I'll tell your wife he prefers fat rich men.
I'm a size queen.
Yes.
Justin, huh?
I would say prince would make more sense, or king, but you said it.
Yes, king. Yes.
All right. I think now we can probably go to our general thoughts of the story before wrapping up.
We'll go reverse order this time. If Andy, if you're available, overall thoughts on the story, and if you could give it a rating, what would you give it?
Out of 5 or 10?
10. Because 5 is basic and lame.
Oh yeah. Percentage is easy to understand, right? Like that's a good one. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll make it quick because admittedly I don't own a copy, so I had to do research and garner my own opinion that way. But from what I saw,
you want my digital copy?
Oh, you got it?
I don't know if I can give it to you, but if I can, I will. Yeah.
In some way, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. That'd be awesome. But yeah, from what I saw and what I was able to garner from what I know on about the project and stuff, it was very cinematic. You know, I enjoyed the attention to detail in like the camera angles and stuff. You could actually say it's a good study on how to make a comic in a lot of ways. Even some of the greats, I think, are going to receive this really well because they'll see this, you know what I mean, and they'll be experts in their own right, drawing scenery and thinking of different camera angles and ways to convey things. But for somebody to just kind of come out swinging like this, it really does set a standard, and it's like it's showing by being undeniable in the quality.
Yeah, but be good enough that even your haters have to give you a nod, kind of thing.
In some way, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, gets a bunch of credit from me for its for caring. Basically that's what it comes down to. How much do you care, right? And you can tell like they cared a lot. So I'm gonna say, just because I don't own it, I don't want to rate it too low or too high. So,
I will say this. I think because you don't own it, I don't think it would be fair for you to give a rating.
Fair. Yeah,
but
I will say this though. It would
silence.
It would be a positive rating.
Okay, positive overall experience.
Positive overall, yes.
Justine.
I really enjoyed it. I'd give it a 5 out of 5. This is if everything that came out.
What about out of 10?
A 10, yeah.
Yeah, I give it a 10.
Damn.
Like I said, the nitpicks I had with it were minor. I enjoyed it on the whole. I think it would make for a great movie, and yeah, I think as long as you are cool with the style of Western it is, again, it's not like watching a John Wayne movie. It does have a level of violence to it and seriousness and all that.
It's more like a spaghetti Western, but combined with the kind of a spiritual Western as well.
If you're fine with that, and you're fine with the use of biblical verses and how they tie into the ghost and all that, I think I really enjoyed it. So those two little things, as long as you're fine with that, I mean, I couldn't find much wrong with it. I thought the story was cool. I enjoyed the characters. It's a simple story, but it's a Western. Westerns don't need to be overly complicated, and I think if they get too complicated, it can be hard to follow what's going on. But there's enough intrigue there to keep you interested. I thought the pace was really good. I thought there was some excellent dialogue, like, even at the beginning whenever he's talking to the barkeep, and he walks in, he sees the bartender behind the bar cleaning glasses or whatever he's doing. He's like, "Are you the proprietor of this establishment?" He says, "No, I just like aprons." Like, that kind of stuff.
I love that line.
And then you really like the dad jokes. Yeah.
All the wit was in your right arm, like that kind of stuff. That little back and forth. Yeah, that I really appreciated, enjoyed that, the dialogue. And then there's some other good lines throughout it. Excellent art. Love the use of color. Really good facial close-ups of the characters. Very expressive. The action is meant to be violent, and not only is the action incredibly violent, but the rain in it is violent. The fire is violent. Like, everything has these kind of sharp, rough.
It has that dramatic flair.
It has that
a Western should
have,
have.
where you feel like George was like stabbing the paper to create the rain brush strokes. It's like they don't look natural, but it just feels visceral, which I thought was great. And I thought the length was good.
Yeah, it was longer than I expected. I don't know why. I know the page count. I should have expected it, but it felt as longer than I expected, and it made me want more. So yeah.
And I love stories too, where something happens early on, and because of the actions early, then later on they impact the story. So like everything keeps kind of coming back around. It's not just point A to point B. You're having callbacks, which to me is a sign of good writing. The little girl at the beginning that Righty does not shoot has the chance to ID him and keep him in prison for the crimes that he was a part of, and the girl doesn't ID him, and I assume it's because she was like, "Oh, he didn't shoot me," that kind of thing. So I like the tie-ins like that. Good sense of speed, good sense of weight, good action. Especially there's a couple shots we had of the landscapes and the exteriors of the building. Some of those, man, they're so good. And I haven't read any Bond Designates, so I don't know how they stand up compared to like the really, really good books out there. But as far as what I've seen, this is, you know, some of the best art from one of the books I've gotten. So
It's actually maybe more clean than a lot of the bande dessinée westerns that I've read. A lot of the bande dessinée westerns that I've read are kind of more like shock value Game of Thrones level of like weirdness and disgust and things and bad people doing bad things. Not all of them, but like I'm thinking of Bouncer specifically. Like this whore raised 3 sons and they all hate each other and kill and do terrible things to each other. And it's like just horrible. Like yeah, but this story, in compared to other Western bande dessinée style books, is much cleaner. But yeah. All right, Bats, what do you got? Overall impressions, any highlights?
Yeah, I mean, well, so I'm not a fan of the Western like theme stuff, and this was definitely in that genre.
Wait, pause. All right, continue.
Well, it still was definitely quality in there. It's a simple, like the overall story is it's a redemption story, right? And it's a redemption story told well. The art in this is kind of insane how good it is. It's definitely better than probably majority of anything you're going to find in the indie sphere. It's, you know, definitely professional level drawing. But yeah, so the art definitely bumps it up. The story, like I said, it's a redemption story. I guess a little bit more simple, but it still is told very well in that. And the action's is quality. The overall, like, yeah, I can, if you're saying this is a 10 out of 10, like I can see that, right? I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10, but I can see where somebody might feel that way about this book.
yeah, no, that's fair.
But I think for me, it's an 8.5. I think for me, hitting a 9 is already damn near impossible. Never mind, like giving something a 10. But the quality story gets it an 8. And the art pushes it above. I just don't think the art carries it enough to be a 9 in my eyes. I think the story would just need to be a little bit better to push it to a 9.
To be fair, it's not Berserk level quality art. It's a very different style than something like that. But the art is really fantastic as well.
Yeah. Well, it's like stylistic at the same time too, right? You know.
Yep. I would say this book delivered every expectation that I had and delivered a few more. I didn't expect jokes, and I'm really glad that the few of them that exist are in there. Yeah. I didn't expect the kind of moral quandaries that we got in a couple of moments. If there's anything to knock it down, it might just be my confusion about a certain scene. I was a little unclear whether they're implying something had happened when it hadn't.
It was better than I expected as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as I'm a huge Western fan. I love Westerns, despite me getting in a fight with people on Twitter over a really bad, really boring old movie.
I mean, well, yeah.
No, don't get into it more than that. Anyway, don't even bring it up. Anyway, no. But yeah, no, the visuals in both the black and white and colored. I read the black and white and then I looked through the colored. The colors are amazing. I appreciate certain scenes better in black and white, but I'm really happy I have both versions. I really, really appreciate the art. Obviously Razor did a lot of putting things together, and George did a lot of the art, and they kind of collaborated on that, but it looks incredible. The story is in some ways basic in its overall structure, but I appreciate the details. And Righty, or Paul, uses a Schofield, which is my favorite Western revolver as well. And so for me, this story, and for me, part of how I rate a story is, did it accomplish what it wanted to accomplish? And did it do that individual thing well? Because, like, I'd say Haikyuu is a 10 out of 10 anime in many ways. But how do I compare a sports anime about high school volleyball to this? You don't. So I would give this a 9.5. I really, really like it. I think there are some things that could have been done differently. And if something, for me, a 10 out of 10 is something that I will never forget and that I will always talk about all the time for how much I love it. This isn't quite there, but it's very, very close. I really, really appreciate this story. So Razor, George, thank you for putting together this story and giving us a Western style bande dessinée Western. It is a beautiful, beautiful book, and I'm really, really glad that you guys wrote it.
Yeah, look forward to seeing more.
And I would say too, if anybody out there is interested in picking up, I'm not sure if you can get it on any of the other campaigns, but it is actually available on Amazon. You can get the hardcover for $26.99 or the paperback for $20. So I know some people, if you're new to the indie scene, don't know how to go and buy and these different websites, just want the ease of access. It is available on a major distributor like Amazon.
When we post the video, the VOD of this this live stream, we will post links for the book, obviously, wherever it's available. And fortunately, Joe, hold up your cover if you can so people can see it. You won't be able to pick up these covers, these beautiful covers, but you will be able to get a version of it like the one Bat Sauce has in his possession. Because they wanted to make sure the campaign covers were something special and unique to people who did the early backing system, and Kickstarter kind of thing.
But yeah. To say it floats through the Iron Seas. I think we all enjoyed it.
Play the clip, boy.
But all right. Take us out, Kahuna. Take us out.
That's good. Do what?
All right, cowpokes. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will buy Ghost of the Badlands.
If you keep doing that, something you do not want is going to happen to you with 100% certainty.
Are you threatening me? You son of a bitch.
All right, cowpokes, thanks for joining us today where we discuss Ghost of the Badlands. Our next special, undetermined time of release, we'll be discussing the book Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. Look forward to it. Thank you, boys, and we'll see you next time. Woo!